So you want to know if Furina is worth it? Well, worth it for you anyway. Furina is the Hydro Archon, so it's always a good idea to pull for an Archon at some point or another, be it on their first banner or on a future rerun. However, I still think it's a wise idea to stop and think through this sort of thing in depth. Besides, if you're free to play, you know how long it takes to save Primogems. And even if you're not free to play, you still want to be sure that you're making the right choice. So let's talk about it. This is the Is Furina Worth Your Primogems deep dive. This video aims to bring you a deeper dive into the pros and cons of Furina, so that you can make a more informed choice as to if you want to be pulling for her or not. We're going to be going over a few things in this video. A brief overview into Furina's playstyle and what her purpose is in a team. This is to see if she fits into what you need on your account, or if you just like what she brings to the table. Constellations, aka, can you play her well at C0, or should you be aiming for Constellations? Her current teams. This is to see if you have the right characters on your account right now that do her the most justice, and her builds. This is to see if you have what she needs or if you need to farm some more. This can also act as a personal preference checker to see if you like the domains that her artifacts are in, or if you like the areas in which you have to collect her ascension materials. Getting the character is one thing, farming for them is another. Ready? Let's go. Furina is a limited 5-star Hydro Sword user. She works best as a support and off-field damage dealer. Let's go more in detail about her elemental skill and her elemental burst. Furina's elemental skill works in two ways. There's a Numa version and there's an Usia version, perfect for Fontaine battles. You're able to switch between these two forms by using her charge attack, but let's go more into detail about these two versions. Let's talk about Usia first, since this is what she defaults to. Her Usia version is able to summon 3 Hydro monsters that deal Hydro damage, even when Furina herself is not on the field. That means that during this version of her elemental skill, Furina is able to deal off-field Hydro damage to enemies. The damage that these 3 monsters deal is based on Furina's max HP. When they attack, if there are characters on your team with more than 50% HP, these monsters' attack power will be increased based on the number of these characters that have 50% HP or above. As such, these monsters will also consume that character's HP. So simply put, the more team members who have their HP at 50% or more, the more powerful these attacks will be from Furina's monsters. Let's talk about the other version. The Numa version of her skill allows Furina to summon 1 Hydro monster, which will heal the active character. The healing will also be based on Furina's max HP. On a less battle-heavy note, her elemental skill will allow Furina to walk on water. Furina's elemental burst will be able to give a damage boost to the team using fanfare stacks. This damage buff is based on Furina's max HP. So what are fanfare stacks? Well, to put it simply, when a party member's HP increases or decreases, Furina will gain a fanfare point based on the percentage of that character's max HP. Furina will then increase the damage and incoming healing of party members based on how many stacks she has. So overall, what are Furina's pros and cons? Pros. She's really flexible, as she can be a damage dealer, buffer, or healer. She's great for a wide variety of teams, from reaction heavy teams to mono hydro teams. Her HP drain is great for characters who work with HP fluctuations. Cons. Her Usia and Numa states can't exist at the same time. She's a little risky to use because she drains HP from the whole party, and you'll most likely need to run a healer in a Furina team. But I guess that's less of a con and more of a new meta. Jean is now in the meta. Does Furina need Constellations? At the moment, Furina seems to be great to play, even at C0. So if you're somebody who wants to touch and go, so to get Furina at C0 and then continue to save for characters after getting a single copy, you're all good to do that. But let's go over some constellations of note in case you're looking for some extra spice. We'll mainly be talking about her C1 and her C2 here, since I doubt that many people watching this video are planning to C6 her on her first banner. So let's go. Furina's C1 would be great to have, considering she gets 150 fanfare points. Her fanfare limit is also increased. And seeing as we were just talking about what fanfare points are, we know that the more stacks she gets, the better. Her C2 greatly increases her fanfare gain by an insane amount whenever there's a change in a party member's HP. So simply put, it will allow her to gain stacks much faster. She'll be able to provide an insane damage bonus to the entire team, and incoming healing will also be increased. And needless to say, it will buff Furina's personal damage too. So if you're wondering if her C1 or C2 is worth it, yeah, Sure, why not? But then again, C0 is enough for Furina. You'll only want her cons if you want to go overboard. No shade. Going overboard can be fun too. Let's go over some teams that Furina can use. We know what role she serves in a team, but let's talk about what kind of character she can go with and see if you have the roster to do her justice. Seeing as Furina is a Hydro support and an off-field damage dealer, she's able to work in many teams. Like every other Archon before her, she seems to be pretty flexible, so adding her to your existing favourite team will probably get the job done just fine. But let's go over some team examples anyway, except the lists get more expensive as it goes on. She's still pretty new, so let me know what teams you're using for Furina in the comments below. But for now, Furina's teams include, but are not limited to, for free-to-plays and beginners, Furina, Lisa, Barbara and Collei, or Dendro Traveller, for 4-star havers or low spenders, Furina, Yanfei, Sucrose and Bennett, or Chongyun, Furina, Sucrose and Charlotte, or Furina, Fischl, Beidou and Xingqiu. For 5-star havers, Furina, Raiden, Shogun, Yelan and Jean, Neuvillette, Furina, Kazuha and Baizhu, Hu Tao, Yelan, Furina and Zhongli, or Ayaka or Wriothesley, Furina, Kazuha and Kokomi. Let's talk about her builds. We'll use this portion of the video as somewhat of a personal preference checker. After all, if you don't have the weapon that suits her, or if you don't like farming the particular area or domain that she needs, it might soil your experience with the character a bit, or may make you put off building them entirely. So on that note, let's talk about Ascension materials. Talent-wise and leveling up-wise, all of her materials are in Fontaine, obviously. As for artifacts, typically, Furina will be ran with 4-piece golden shroop. However, it is possible to use one of the following builds as a temporary build while you're waiting to get a good golden shroop set for her. 4-piece Ocean Hued, 4-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Hard Depth, 4-piece Nymph's Dream, or 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Varukasha's Glow. Stat-wise, Furina will need the following. For a sub DPS and support build, HP Sense, HP Goblet or Hydro Goblet and Crit Circlet depending on what you need. And finally, let's go over weapon options. Here's Furina's weapon list, but the weapons get more expensive as the list goes on. 4-star weapons, Flufsandra's Ferryman, Favonia's Sword and Wolffang. For 5-star weapons, Key of Karj Nisut, probably Light of Foliar Incision, and Splendor of Tranquil Waters. Finally, here are my personal thoughts to wrap things up. As an Archon, I don't think you can really go wrong with pulling for Furina. Just like all of the other Archons before her, she seems like an excellent choice to pull for, especially if you need a good Hydro unit. She seems like an amazing overall support character, as well as a decent damage dealer, and I'm sure that she's going to be as well used as every other Archon we've gotten before. But that's just me. I want to know your thoughts. Is Furina worth the Primogems in your opinion? Do you have Furina? If not, how comes? Thanks for watching, follow my Instagram, join my Discord and comment this bird emoji. Peace!